Hakeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
The police that can ride shoulder to shoulder with other sister police all over the world.
Lawmakers set to establish a police studies institute, the first of its kind in Africa.
We need to work hard, provide the legislative intervention.
And lessons from COVID-19 in focus as stakeholders discuss critical role of the legislature. A warm welcome to House Ticket, hoping you had a happy Easter holiday. The lawmakers are also on a short recess from plenary taken to mark the Easter. While the recess lasts, we shall bring you lawmakers' activities at the committee rooms and the constituency front amongst other engagements. On this package, therefore, security of the nation and how it can be enhanced through legislation is being discussed by the lawmakers as they work on the repeal of an existing act on security, just as they also consider a proposal to establish an institute for police studies. We also have engagement of the House with the Customs Agency amongst other legislative engagement in recent times. Let's take a break here and return with the full package of the program. Please stay with us.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
Thanks for staying tuned. Let us begin the first segment from the committee rooms with the lawmakers sitting with the Nigerian Customs Services over financial matters. In another committee room, a public hearing to discuss two bills on security and effective policing of the nation. The stories as compiled and presented from the studios.
The House Committee meeting with the Nigerian Customs Service of 30th March 2021 was sequel to several ones held on the 2020 budget defense and 2021 budget proposal of the agency. The lawmakers had revised the 2021 budget proposal of 1.4 trillion naira to 1.679 trillion naira in comparison to the 2020 budget and the revenue generation of 1.56 trillion naira. The dilemma of the committee is how to defend the proposal before the larger house on behalf of its oversighting agency for approval into law. It therefore held this meeting to get more clarification on the need for the proposed increase.
We want to stand on the initial target given to you last year. We are not going to increase it. We want to stay on it at 1.679 trillion.
I feel that we should return to 1.4, and if anything in the course of the year allows us to collect anything more than 1.4, it will be reflected just like it was reflected in 2021.
On the value-added tax VAT, the Customs Service is proposing a generation of 370 billion naira, of which the committee says it is hopeful that it will be realized, considering the parameters set for its actualization as well as the reduction of levy on imported cars, which has been made possible by the Finance Act, which reduced the levy from 35% to 5%. Other issues came up for questioning, including funds earmarked for recruitment purposes in the revised proposal.
Part of what we saw in the proposal, there is 91.1 billion retained earnings. And out of this amount, we understood there are certain amounts that are meant for recruitment. We want to know exact amount that is meant for recruitment in this 91.1 billion. In 2020, we budgeted 6.090 for recruitment. And then in 2021, we budgeted 8.115.
We really need personnel at that level. And the total number given to us is 3,200. So we have to now juggle the figure. And by the time we juggle the figure, and of course, you know, we also, in 2020, we got an appraisal of our remuneration. So obviously, if you are making provision for the salary of this recruit, when they finish, it will go higher. It will rise beyond what you budgeted in the early year 18 and 2019.
Other lawmakers made comment on the need to ease the budget consideration process, need to include lawmakers in the trainings undertaken by customs according to the CIC's Act, amongst other matters of staff welfare. They also touched on levies on goods.
I would suggest that before the next budget, if you create an avenue that you will be sitting with the technical committee of this committee so that we'll iron things out, in terms of budgeting and, appropriations, so that when we are coming for this, we will not take this long period of time for us to be engaging on something that is supposed to be seamless, because there is no difference between what we are doing is for Nigeria. You are on the executive side and this is the legislative side. So if we have initial engagement within there before the next budget, we would understand where you are heading, what you want to do, so that when we are coming for this budget processing, we'll be on the same page.
When I saw it on the line last year that no kobo was spent on insurance last year, and I inquired further, I learned that the approval has not been given from FEC. However, it's becoming belated. An insurance for a period of a year is to cover people for that year. So if insurance are not carried out for that year, then what is the importance?
Most of these vehicles, they are not, they don't have levy. But if you can review the duty entirely, it will make most of our people from Nigeria to stop going to Cotonou, Togo. They are just going there to have something lower than Nigeria. If not, no one need harassment or embarrassment when coming in through the smuggling. If you can do that, I think you will get more duty.
The lawmakers harped on the need to have scanners working at the ports and border stations, as well as adequate manpower, as they promised to lend support through legislative approval of supplementary budgets, if need be, so as to contain insecurity and exigencies. The activities of the committee were further reinforced by an earlier resolution at plenary, mandating the committee to investigate the porous borders of the nation regarding smuggling activities and insecurity.
When we went round, the main thing we observed is the issue of excise is still manual. Officers collect these monies or they direct these manufacturers to go to the bank and pay. And you know what it means? You know what it means? There will be a lot of compromises, because as a custom officer, if you come and give me 50 cartons of the drink, I will compromise, because I know I have something to retire with. 50 cartons every month. So let's try and automate that process, because by the time you do that, Mr. CG, the difference we are looking at between 1.4 billion and 1.6 billion is just 214 billion. Just 214 billion. If you do the excise right, this is enough. You can get even up to 3 billion or more.
There are a lot of situations whereby it's the custom officer that we signed a custom paper, and they will allow the passage of vehicle at Apapa port right there, and be specific here. And then every day Nigerians are being suffered on the hand of the customs, stopping them on the road, asking them series of questions about underpayment and all that. All these people have genuine custom duties signed by a custom officer. So my question is that how will you allow a car that is underpaid leave a confined area? A port is a very controlled and sealed area.
Now we have taken the steps in custom to prosecute agents, because we have discovered that agents are cheating importers. will give they know the correct charges. They will calculate everything and give it to you, and you give them the money. They will go and take that money, and then if you say your car is 2018 or 2019, they will go and reduce that car to 2009. There are cloned custom documents going about. Agents will connive with the officers. When you pay as an importer, you give him the correct duty, he will calculate the correct amount of the duty you are supposed to pay with all charges. He gives you, and you give him the money. He will go and connive with the custom officer and reduce this thing. And then they clone the paper, and you take the vehicle out.
In rounding up the meeting on the revised 2021 budget for the Nigerian Customs Service, the committee made some observations on disparity in payment of levies on imported goods, amongst other things.
The issue of disparity of duty of underpayment, you have to do something about it. And then you have to develop an app. All these vehicles, there's age limit, agreed. 7 years old, or more than 7 years old must not come into the country. Yes. So from that age, in that app, duty to be paid on each vehicle should be there, so that anybody who is buying the vehicle already know what is going to pay. FOU, that's why we need this, your SEMA, to come, this Custom and Excise Management Act, for us to amend it quickly, because you are operating, it's like you are operating without law now.
Budget was approved by the committee and thereafter adjourned the budget hearing.
On this note, at committee level, we have approved the budget of Nigerian Custom, 1.679 trillion for 2021.
In another committee room, effective ways of securing the nation through legislations were discussed. The meeting was a public hearing on 2 bills organized by the House Committee on Police Affairs, chaired by lawmaker Bello Usman Kumo. The bills are a bill for an act to repeal the Police Service Commission Act, an enactment of the Police Service Commission Bill 2020 to strengthen the commission to be more functional in its operations and for related matters, and a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Institute for Police Studies Bill 2020 to provide for administration and management of the institute and determining standard of knowledge and skills to be acquired by the personnel of the institute and for related matters. The one-day public hearing brought stakeholders from the various security outfits in the country and other critical stakeholders from diverse walks of life. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, declared the hearing open, during which he reiterated the commitment of the 9th House of Representatives to passing laws with specific emphasis on policing system in Nigeria. He added that the Nigerian people deserve a police force they can trust, as well as a police force that acts within the limits of the law and respects the rule of law.
The Police Service Commission Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020 is the first attempt to institute an independent system for holding erring police officers to account for abuses of power and related misconduct in office. This bill will increase the minimum requirement for recruitment into the constabulary and allow for the recruitment of more qualified candidates into the Nigerian police force. These objectives are sacrosanct. The only question before us at this public hearing is how best to achieve them.
Earlier, the committee chairman, while welcoming stakeholders to the August gathering, implored on all to take part in nation building through collective efforts in securing the nation.
We expect a rancor-free public hearing, a very matured and scientific representations, things that can add value to our policies, strengthen the police, and we live, when we are not here, we live a very strong, viable, and a police that can run shoulder to shoulder with other sister police all over the world.
The Minister of Police Affairs lauded the objectives of the bill and what he called its timely emergence, especially now that a highly disciplined police service is needed in the country. And so, out of the 4 to 5 points submitted by the ministry, it agreed on the extension of the powers of the Police Service Commission to investigate and discipline erring officers. There were other issues noted by the ministry.
Section 6F amounts to supervision of tactical units set up by the IG. This has proceeded into police operational activities which is not envisaged by the general purpose of the commission itself. So we therefore want to note this and to request this Honorable House to reconsider the provision under this subsection.
The ministry asked for more time to seek the views of other critical stakeholders on the bill, seeking for the establishment of the Institute for Police Studies. The Inspector General of Police said the Nigerian police will align with the position of the Ministry of Police Affairs. Nevertheless, he reacted to a few earlier submissions made by stakeholders.
Putting a clause to say that a retired police officer or a retired Inspector General of Police should not head the place will be discriminatory. And to send a very bad precedence. Other organizations will take to that too. But maybe a phrase may be put there to say a technocrat, somebody that has experience and the rest of them. I know for sure that Police Service Commission is not an ordinary place. It's a technical place that need to understand the workings of the police for you to be able to have oversight functions on the police.
On the Police Establishment Bill, the Inspector General of Police described it as timely, saying that the main objective is to provide expertise on security and policing matters, considering that such an institute does not exist in the whole of Africa.
Policing is dynamic because the society itself is dynamic. And for that reason, if we need strategic officers that will be trained to lead not only within the police as a service, but even after leaving the service, and when they get to other spheres of life within the country, they should be able to lead properly. We needed an institute that will deal with security and policing matters. In the whole of Africa, we don't have.
The chairman of the Police Service Commission spoke on the two bills.
We believe a unit responsible solely for training should be part of this department. If you want to get the best from people, it's always important you also prepare them to be well positioned to face challenges ahead. So please, I want to advise that a lot of responsibilities are usually on the head of Police Service Commission, and the corresponding funds to ensure near efficient performance.
The submission of other stakeholders ranged from financial implications to issues of federal character, among others.
I would expect that the funds established under that section shall be managed in accordance with extant financial regulations applicable to the public service.
Non-governmental bodies were also present. They submitted their positions regarding the composition of membership, considering police brutality and the recent NSAS event, to matters of compliance and compensation.
From experience, we've noticed that police has failed repeatedly to pay compensation, even where courts has awarded compensation against the police. And this bill provides us a platform to restore that rule of law provision. And would like to encourage the House to introduce a bill that ensure compliance of the police.
We welcome that, but we ask also that a woman who has experience working in the area of sexual harassment and gender-based violence as this reflects current trend of social issues and gender mainstreaming.
The committee ended the hearing having gathered memoranda from the public.
By implication, people have not been discussing the other bill, the National Institute of Police Affairs. It implied police studies. It implied that each and every speaker have adopted that institution. The committee will work closely with some experts to ensure that we give birth to document that will be of global standard. I want to appreciate each and every person that came here, but most importantly to appreciate Almighty God for having a peaceful and fruitful, friendly session.
Many thanks for staying tuned to the program House Ticket as we bring you up to speed on the activities of our elected representatives in the Green Chamber of the National Assembly. We just reviewed some recent activities of the House in our first segment, where we saw the House deliberating on how to enhance security services for the nation. The program continues with events from the Office of the Speaker. A delegation from a development partner, Oxfam International, recently paid a courtesy visit to the Speaker, during which discussions took place on Equal Opportunity Bill that the Speaker said the House intends to propose soon for passage into law. Oxfam International, through the country's director, had expressed willingness to partner with the three tiers of government in Nigeria to forge development in human rights and social protection matters, amongst other issues. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, in response, had assured the delegation that Nigeria would join the global trend in defending the rights of women by protecting and promoting gender-based issues. This, he said, is an important item in the legislative agenda of the Ninth House. In another scene, the Deputy Speaker of the House, Lawmaker Ahmed Idris Wasi, on his part, received a solidarity visit by a delegation of Plateau elders. Support for the leadership of the House was reiterated by the group. Both parties also agreed on the need for an efficient lawmaking process to actualize the dividends of democracy to the electorate.
Our visit here is merely to convey our solidarity. Our position is based on these very factors that we have expressed. We pray that the National Assembly will remain stronger, and the House of Representatives will remain strongest as it holds the democracy and the freedom of this country in its hands.
What we will do, like I did mention earlier, is to remain focused, to do the things that are right. We have also want to protect the Constitution. And is protecting the Constitution among the things you would do are the bylaws that have been crafted out of the Constitution. And so we are guided by a complete system, and I want to assure you that the House of Representatives is one focus on how to build and make Nigeria better. And we shall continuously do that. From the Speaker to every member of the Parliament here, I can assure you we are one, members of one family.
Your Excellencies, it is without much ado
The Young
that I make
Parliamentarians
bold at this
Forum
juncture.
YPF, chaired by Representative Kabiru Tukura, held a public presentation of a report of the study into the effect and response to COVID-19 by Nigeria's state and federal legislatures and the lessons learned. The research work was compiled by the Interparliamentary Relations Protocols and the YPF. The report has an in-depth analysis on the various interventions provided by the National Assembly and state assemblies. It also includes other response interventions made by Nigerians and 4 other countries, namely United Kingdom, New Zealand, India, and Brazil. Senate President Ahmed Lawal delivered a goodwill message at the presentation. His remarks recalled the critical roles played by the legislatures in passing the economic stimulus package at both state and federal legislatures, a move which helped in providing relief to the vulnerable in the country. He spoke further on the research work.
We need to work hard, provide the legislative intervention in terms of resources and environment for our scientists to work. We are increasingly witnessing an integrated world where joint efforts often produce better results.
The Speaker of the House was represented by the chairman of the YPF Forum.
The research work we are about to launch today will greatly contribute to the existing and emerging body of knowledge in legislative responses in dealing with emergencies such as the COVID-19 and other pandemics that might emerge in the future. The research work dealt in depth with the lessons learned, best practices and recommendations on mitigation and adaptation for sustaining parliamentary and other public functions during these emergencies from other countries for an effective response to pandemics in the future.
The review of the study was represented at the event.
Parliaments are expected to take decisive steps to guide nations through such periods by formulating legislation that mitigates the socio-economic effects of such periods. Particular focus must be given to vulnerable populations, even as they oversee the emergency measures introduced by the executive.
Other overviews on the effects and legislature's responses to COVID-19 were made by the Speaker of Bauchi State House of Assembly, who was also the special guest at the occasion, and at the same time, Chairman Conference of Speakers.
We promptly passed into law the COVID-19 revised budgets for both state and local governments that were brought to us by the state governors. This is apart from massive enlightenment campaign on safety protocols and measures against the disease we embarked upon in all our constituencies across the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe without these efforts and measures taken by us in the legislative arm, the feat this country so far achieved in fighting the pandemic wouldn't have been realistic.
The Westminster Foundation for Democracy partnered in the event.
The role of the Parliament cannot be overemphasized, particularly during the pandemic period or a state of emergency. The world was totally concerned that there should not be a reversal of democracy. The world was totally concerned that democracy must not be locked down, even though the world was locked down. So the role of the Parliament was key to moving democracy forward during this period, and this is what made the research work that has been conducted very important.
The unveiling of the report was made by the Senate President.
Excellency,
Hope you've been enlightened on the workings of the legislative arm of government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Many thanks for being a part of the program. Let's do this again. Bye-bye and do stay safe.